Okay, hello everybody. So in this video I'm going to have a look at a specific case of a comment that was done on my underneath one of my videos. Well, actually the last one. And so we're going to look at this comment by this flat earther called Tony Dixon. And I was thinking that maybe it might be useful to select some comments like that and then discuss them in detail, because generally speaking, as an educator, you find that when someone has a question, then it's likely that other people are having the same question. So it's one of the reasons that we don't call questions dumb. Anyway, so this Tony Dixon, though, isn't really asking much questions, except he's making assertions. So I want to go through some of those assertions that he's making, and for other flat earthers who think as he does, or those people who are sitting on the fence, who might be in danger of falling into this cult, then you might get something out of this. Okay, so let's have a look at it. Alright, so we'll start from here. So I'll be out of the picture for a while. I'll just do this. So number one, all we have is linguistics. Okay, so what he's saying basically over here is that we just have language. So we don't have any proof. We just have language, and language is meaningless. Well, language is how human beings actually manage to convey ideas to each other. So in other words, I know what you mean because we share this common language. In chemistry, for instance, we use our common language could be a chemical reaction equation. So I can understand exactly what one chemist has done, because I can understand that particular language, and I can follow that experiment or that process. Okay. All right. So that's a useless statement that this is just linguistics. Just even the word is wrong, but I won't go there. Okay, let's have a look at the next bit. So water always finds its level. Yes, that's a common thing that that flat Earth people say. Water always finds its level. Well, yes. The thing about it is, what does level mean? So what I've written up here is, I've said yes, but it never lies flat. So yes, it's level. Level meaning that it has an equidistant from the object to from the surface, if you like, to the Earth's center of mass. Okay, that's what level means. When you look at a spirit level, this is exactly what you're looking at. Okay, so this is so level and flat are two different things. So what this Tony Dixon actually means is water is always flat. Now, I know that the flat earth people are very loath to use that word flat, especially when it comes to water. That is because they want to keep lying to themselves. They actually know the difference, and they actually understand the difference. However, they want to keep lying to themselves. So Tony Dixon is now writing water always finds its level. So what? That doesn't mean that it's flat, which is what you really mean. Okay, so don't bullshit around the bush. Just say what you really mean. Earth is demonstrably flat. Well, no, it's not. And if you think that Earth is demonstrably flat, then demonstrate it. Show us where the evidence is that Earth is flat. Show us evidence that Earth is flat that excludes the possibility that Earth could be anything else, like a sphere, for instance. Okay, let's go on. Water cannot bend. He goes all over the place with this, but never mind. Water cannot bend around a ball. Well, first of all, this idea about bending. Water isn't a plasma. Okay? So, and water is not solid unless you've frozen it. So what water is are individual molecules of water that are attracted, if you like, to each other, and are dipolar molecules. So when they come together, they create a liquid. This is what you're looking at. So, water cannot bend. That is a useless statement. I guess what you really mean is that could water cover a ball? Well, yes. Try wetting a tennis ball, or any ball for that matter. Is the ball wet? Well, water covered it, didn't it? So now you might have to consider the thickness of the water that's covering it. Well, if the thickness is just 1 micron, at the right scale, that would be as if an entire Earth was as deep as the sea. So that's just an absolute nonsense that water can't go around a ball. You can do that yourself. Go drop a tennis ball in the water and see what happens. Water surface always collapses. Well, again, what does that mean, it collapses? So I'll tell you this. Look at a raindrop. What shape is it? What shape do you think the tide is at the high tide? Given that the water at the low tide area is all gone. Where's all that water gone? It's bulging at the high tide. How could it possibly be flat? So water is never flat. It's level. In other words, it's an equidistant from Earth's center of mass, but not flat. Okay. All right. He says that the burden of proof lies with me. Well, that's an interesting idea, and the answer is no. You are the one who's claiming that the Earth is not a sphere. You are making this claim. Therefore, the burden of proof lies with you, Mr. Dixon. I am postulating a model and using this model to make some astonishingly precise predictions. So I use this model. You want to claim that something is proof. That means it cannot change. Truth, if you like. Then the burden of proof is with you. I don't subscribe to truth or proof. That is not part of science. And the reason for that is that things change. As instruments get better, We may change the values about what we think. It's 93 million miles or 150 million kilometers to the sun. Well, I'm sure that with better instruments we could get even more accurate than that. So, it will change. Science changes. We're not concerned that things change. We're not concerned that people find new explanations, even explanations that might render a previous explanation of no use. Science is not concerned about your feelings or your beliefs. Okay, Earth moving aimlessly. So this is a typical flat Earth thing to say, displaying their incredulity. So how can it be that Earth is just moving aimlessly, speeding through the vacuum of space? As if that sounds like something that shouldn't be able to be happening. Well, the Earth does does move in an elliptical path around the sun. And this can be demonstrated. It's not by accident that we can make these extremely good predictions. And is it aimless? No. It's completely predictable. If I can't demonstrate my claims, I must be lying. Really? How do I demonstrate anything that I might claim over here on a YouTube video? For instance, I would claim that helium has 2 protons and 2 neutrons and 2 electrons. Or I would claim that hydrogen has 1 proton and 1 electron. Now I know that because of all of the research work that's been done on the hydrogen and helium atoms and on atomic structures in general. I know that because I can use that information to make extremely good predictions. That doesn't mean that I have seen an electron, but I know they exist because they do things which I can predict. So that statement is just garbage. Maybe you've got an explanation for, perhaps you can demonstrate to the rest of us what an electron is on YouTube. Okay, this ground appears to ramp up. Well, he's talking about perspective. He's talking about how things in the distance appear to get smaller and smaller, and the, if you like, the scenery around it starts to diverge. For instance, the ground comes up, the sky comes down to meet a place that you call the horizon, okay, or the vanishing point. So that is, the object gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you can't make it out from from a dot, for instance. You can't tell the difference. If there's two objects there, you can't tell them apart. You can't tell that there's two objects there. Okay. This divergence is a product of how we see things. But this is not the problem when things go over the horizon. You can see the ship perfectly well. It's not getting smaller and smaller in that in the way that you're describing the vanishing point. The ship doesn't go out to a vanishing point. It just simply dips below the horizon. You know this, so stop lying to yourself. Now, when you have a look at the blades of a wind turbine out at sea, you can only see the blades from a certain distance. Why is it that you can only see the blades? Now, if you could claim that you can use a telescope or a P900 or a P1000 to bring back an entire ship, why can't you bring back an entire turbine? You see how that's a lie? Now, if you're one of those flat earthers who's sitting on the fence, ask yourself that question if you care that what you believe is factual. Let's go over that again. If there's a turbine out there and you can only see the blades, and you get a stronger zoom, do you think you would see more of the turbine? Or would you just see the blades larger because you've got a better optical instrument? You won't see more of the turbine, just like you wouldn't see any more of the ship. Now, if you believe what your flat earth gurus are saying, as charlatans, that you can zoom in and see a boat that's gone over the horizon, then ask your guru, how come you can't bring back the body or the stem of the turbine? It should be fairly obvious to you that the notion that you can use an optical instrument to bring back something that's gone over the horizon is complete garbage. Now, if you want to have your flat earth model, that's fine. But your model must include the fact that things in the distance will go over the horizon. And further evidence of that is, if you wanted to see the turbine, there is a way to do that. Climb a hill. You'll see more of the turbine. The turbine hasn't gone any further away. It doesn't move. It's still stuck in the same place. It's just that when you climb the hill, you'll see more of it. Why are you seeing more of it? That is because you're looking beyond the curve. That's not hard to get. Okay. It's not a bad idea, I think, to comment on, for me to make a video about the comments, because I can say a lot more than I could. I don't have time to type huge amounts of stuff in response to people's comments. So a video like that is quite simple to make, and I can go over quite a lot of ground. Okay, let's wait for the next one and do that one too.